Hi there and welcome to this introduction to jazz chords, scales and the 2-5-1 progression. So what we want to do, I'm going to jump straight into this and what we're going to do is we're going to start by looking at the major scale. The major scale is built on the tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone, and you can number them as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So what we're going to do is we're going to do this in the key of C, and we're just going to run through the scale tones in two different areas. So to begin with, we're going to start on the area down here in the lower part of the guitar, and here is my root, this is my C. Okay, so that's my 1, and what I want to start to do is I want to find all the other intervals, all the other numbers around this 1 in order to be able to create some chords and some melodies around it. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the 5 and 6 that's on the high E string can also be 5 and 6 on the low E string. Okay, so what we'll do is we're going to run through that scale going up and down it. We're going to start on the C, go all the way up through until we get to the end here, come all the way back. We're actually going to go beyond it to the low E string so that we cover the 5 and 6 on this string and then land back on the E string. Okay, here we go with our metronome. Okay, so similarly, now that we've done this lower end area of the C major scale, we're going to look at the area just a bit further up the guitar. So this is C, it's actually the same pitch as the C, but we have C on fret 8 of the E string. And again, we're going to look at the intervals that we can play. So we have the C, which is the root, then we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then we have our root again, and then we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, root, 1 and 2. So we could actually do that on the low E string. We could actually go 7, 1 and 2. So 7, 1, 2, 7, 1, 2. But for the moment we'll just focus on doing what we started with. So we're going to play through those intervals now with a metronome and really just try and get them in, and you just do this as much as you possibly can until you feel that you can find these intervals comfortably. So we're going to do one more scale pattern for C, or one more configuration of it, and it's going to be the horizontal approach, and it's just so that we can look at some of the things you can do within the chord scale. So again, starting on C, but this time we're going to go up in our thinking about it in sort of tones and semitones. So we have upper tone gives us 2, upper tone again gives us 3, upper semitone gives us 4, upper tone gives us 5, upper tone again gives us 6, upper tone again gives us 7, and then finally upper semitone gives us 8. So from here what we're going to do is we're going to take that horizontal scale, and on each point we're going to build a particular chord type. So the order would be major on the 1, minor on 2, minor on 3, major on 4, major on 5, minor on 6, diminished on 7, and then we're back to the root. So we have, if we just do this with our basic caged chords, we have the 1 C major, the 2 D minor, 3 E minor, 4 is F major, 5 G major, 6 A minor, 7 B diminished, and then finish back on the C, the 1. So looking back at that that chord scale, we can then focus on 3 particular points of the chord scale, which was the 2. So the 2 is here, which is D minor, and that was it says a D. It's a D, and it's a 2, and it's a minor. So 2 is minor. Then we had on the 5, so we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's G, and we had a major chord there. And then finally we had 1, which was C. So we had a major chord. So we had 2 minor, 5 major, and 1 major. Now in jazz, what they do is they take these chords and they just take it to one level up, which is sort of adding the 7 numbers into the mix. So instead of 2 minor or D minor, now it's D minor 7. Instead of G, it would be G7, and instead of C, it would be C major 7. So the construct of a minor, the construct of a major 7 is 1, 3, 5, 7. The construct of a minor 7 chord is 1 flattened third, 5, and flattened 7. And the construct of a 7th chord is 1, 3, 5, flat 7. So what we're going to do is we're going to, in the vertical areas that we looked at, so those ones, we're going to create our jazz chords, 2-5-1 jazz chords in those 2 areas. So to begin with, we start with the 2, which is here, so 1, 2, there's our 2, and we're going to create a minor 7 chord. So we need 1 flattened third, 5 flat 7. So here's my 1, here's my flat third, here's my flat 7, and then so that's basically covered the majority of it. I could put in a 5, but in this area I'm just going to duplicate or double up the 1. Okay, so that's nice, beautiful sounding chord. Then we're going to go to the 5. So the 5 we're going to use is this one. So remember when we went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and all the way up, and we got to 5 here, we can do 5 here. So this is our the 5 reference. So we have 2 down to our 5. So our 5 is going to be a 7th chord. So in order to do a 7th, you need 1, 3, 5, and flat 7. So the configuration, if you think about it from a caged chord, like an E shape, we're just going to take off the little finger, and that's going to give us, so we've lowered it by a tone, and that gives us the 7th chord. So we're going to look at those intervals now. So we have 1, 5, flat 7, 3, and 5. And if you wanted, you could double up the root, which is the one here. So now we have 2, 5, and finally 1. So here's our 1. We need a major 7, which is 1, 3, 5, 7. You could see this through the scale if you want to, but we're just going to use an A shape as a guide. So the A-shaped cage chord, going to take the G string note and move it back a semitone. That gives us our C major 7. So let's look at the intervals. We have 1, we have 5, 7, 3, and then 5. Okay, so let's just run through those 2-5-1 chords in this area. So we have 2, which is D minor 7, 5, G7, and we have 1, which is C major 7. So finally, let's put this to practice a little bit, but just playing those chords amongst each other and staying in one area. So to begin with, we will start with this area down here. So we have 2, D minor 7, 5, and 1. 5 being the G7 and 1 being the C major 7. And we'll just do a simple 1, 2, 3, 4, just on each chord. And maybe we'll do 2 rounds on the C major 7. Okay, so we'll do that with a metronome. Let's see how fast this is. A bit slower, there we go. Let's do it again. 2, D minor 7, 5, G7, 1, C major 7. So again, we also need to do the same process in the 2-5-1, minor 7, 7 and major 7. We need to do the same thing in this box area here, this area. So we want to find the 2, which is here, which is D minor, and we want to build the minor 7. So for this one we can use an E minor shape, and you can just kind of take off the little finger. In the jazz world, they kind of actually ignore the A string notes, so it's sort of, it's like that. So the intervals are the root, the flat 7, the flat 3rd and the 5th. Okay, so they're all on fret 10. And I could put the root in as well, depending on what I'm doing from a melodic standpoint. Then we go to the 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's my 5 there. So I'm going to go into a sort of, based on a C shape in the area, and I'm putting, a lot of people learn this in the open area, this sort of C7 shape, but obviously it's now on G, so this is G7. So 5 is the 7th chord, and we have the root, the 3rd, the flat 7 and the root again. Okay, and then finally we have our 1 chord. So here's our 1, it needs to be a major 7. So again, I'm going to base it on this time the E shape, and I'm going to take this little finger back a semitone to there. So I could do it like this, and that would be the root, 5th, major 7, 3rd, 5th, and then the root again. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut away a couple of those notes just to thin it out. And this, again, it's a very typical way of playing this chord. You do it like this. So we have root, we have the major 7, the 3rd and the 5th. Okay, so we have 2 as a minor 7, D minor 7, 5 as a 7th chord, and that's G7, and 1 as a major 7, C major 7. Let's take the same principle that we did in this lower area here. We'll take it up here, and again we're going to do our 2-5-1. So we're going to do 2 D minor 7, then into our G7, and then C major 7. 2 bars of that. Here we go. And again, D minor 7, 2, G7, 5, on the 1, C major 7. So to recap this lesson, what we've dealt with is the major scale from both a horizontal and a vertical point of view. So vertical meaning this kind of walking up and down through the guitar that way, and then the horizontal walking across it. We've also talked about the idea of different points of the scale having a different type of chord, so majors and minors and diminished. We also know that we can take those chords and turn them into minor 7s, 7s and major 7s. And in this case it's D minor 7, G7 and C major 7, and then from there you can just kind of move through those chords, and just again it's just getting the grips down. This is the most important thing, is a lot of the jazz chords is just about getting the grips, being able to visualize how they interrelate to each other. So go through that, feel comfortable with it. When it feels really under your fingers, feel free to move on to the next video.